That Reddit comment was absolutely right. I don't think Sabalenka realizes yet that she picked the absolute worst player to have this kind of salty moment against. Even people who barely follow tennis are chiming in, but they were talking about the French Open controversy, not Berlin. When Aryna Sabalenka dismissed Coco Gauff's victory as lucky and magical, she inadvertently created the perfect storm of public relations disaster. Today, we're breaking down why Coco Gauff was literally the worst possible target for Sabalenka's post-defeat meltdown.
When you're already dealing with reputation issues, the last thing you want to do is attack someone more beloved than you. Sabalenka essentially declared war on America's tennis sweetheart, a young Black woman who represents everything inspiring about sport. Every single demographic that matters rallied to Gauff's defense.
In professional sports, there's an unwritten rule. You don't diminish champions, especially young ones breaking barriers. Gauff isn't just any champion, she's a cultural icon who transcends tennis. When Sabalenka attacked her achievement, she wasn't just being unsportsmanlike, she was tone-deaf to the cultural moment.
Today we're exploring why the tennis world and beyond rallied around Coco Gauff after Sabalenka's French Open comments. From Gauff's inspiring journey to her cultural significance, from her gracious response to the broader implications, every aspect of this controversy made Sabalenka look worse and Gauff more sympathetic. Let's start with who Coco Gauff represents in American sports culture. At just 21, she's already one of the world's highest-paid female athletes, earning $34.4 million last year according to Forbes. But more importantly, she's become a symbol of excellence, activism, and grace under pressure.
Gauff represents the perfect intersection of athletic excellence and social consciousness. She's a young Black woman succeeding at the highest levels while using her platform for social justice. When you attack someone with that profile, you're not just attacking a tennis player, you're attacking what they represent to millions of people.
The timing of Sabalenka's comments couldn't have been worse. Gauff had just become the first American to win singles at the French Open since Serena Williams in 2015. This wasn't just any victory, it was a historic achievement that connected her to tennis royalty.
When you break a drought that long, especially following in Serena's footsteps, you become part of tennis history. Dismissing that achievement as lucky doesn't just disrespect Gauff, it disrespects the legacy she's carrying forward. The cultural weight of that moment made Sabalenka's comments exponentially worse.
And there's Gauff's inspiring backstory that makes her impossible not to root for. She burst onto the scene at Wimbledon 2019 at age 15, defeating Venus Williams in a moment that brought tennis fans to tears. Her journey from teenager to Grand Slam champion has been a public inspiration.
Gauff's story resonates because she's accomplished so much so young while maintaining authenticity and humility. She's spoken openly about mental health, she's politically active, and she carries herself with maturity beyond her years. When you attack someone with that profile, you look like you're attacking excellence itself.
Williams' connection makes this even more damaging for Sabalenka. Gauff has always been transparent about her inspiration from Venus and Serena, saying, "They are the reason why I wanted to pick up a tennis racket." She represents the continuation of their legacy.
The Williams sisters are tennis royalty, especially in American culture. When Gauff explicitly connects her success to their inspiration and then someone dismisses her achievement, it feels like an attack on that entire lineage. You're not just disrespecting Gauff, you're disrespecting tennis history.
Perhaps most crucially, Gauff's response to Sabalenka's comments was absolutely perfect. Listen to how she handled the situation on Good Morning America.
I know she was probably a bit emotional after that match and it was a tough loss. I was a little bit surprised about the comments and everything, but I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt. I'm sure it was an emotional day, emotional match.
That response is masterful. Gauff shows empathy while defending herself, takes the high road while making her point, and demonstrates the exact maturity and grace that Sabalenka failed to show. When your target handles controversy better than you do, you've already lost the narrative war.
Social media reaction was swift and brutal for Sabalenka. Tennis fans called her a sore loser and poor sport. One user wrote, "What a classless person." The appropriate response would be, "Coco was a better player than I today, hence she won." Even Bernice King, daughter of Martin Luther King Jr., weighed in.
When the daughter of MLK feels compelled to comment on your sportsmanship, you've crossed from tennis controversy into cultural commentary. That's the power of Gauff's platform. Her achievements and treatment resonate far beyond sports into broader conversations about respect and fairness.
The American factor amplified everything. Gauff isn't just beloved by tennis fans, she's beloved by American sports fans broadly. She was chosen as Team USA's flag bearer at the Paris Olympics. Attacking her felt like attacking American tennis itself.
Flag bearers represent the best of their country's values. When you dismiss someone who carries that symbolic weight, you're not just being unsportsmanlike, you're being culturally insensitive. American fans rallied around Gauff not just as a tennis player, but as a representative of American excellence.
Then there's Gauff's activism and social consciousness, which has earned her fans far beyond tennis. She delivered a moving speech at a Black Lives Matter rally, spoke out about social justice, and has consistently used her platform responsibly. She represents athlete activism done right.
Young athletes who use their platforms for positive change develop fierce loyalty among fans. When you attack someone who stands for social justice and positive change, you're attacking values that transcend sports. That's why the backlash was so intense and came from so many different communities.
Head-to-head history makes Sabalenka's comments even more absurd. Gauff now leads their series 6-5 and has beaten Sabalenka in 2 Grand Slam finals, the 2023 US Open and 2025 French Open. This isn't a fluke, it's a pattern of Gauff rising to the biggest occasions.
When the same opponent beats you twice in Grand Slam finals, calling it luck becomes statistically absurd and personally embarrassing. Gauff has consistently outperformed Sabalenka in the biggest moments, yet receives none of the respect that record deserves. The dismissiveness looks petty and factually wrong.
Perhaps most damaging was Sabalenka's specific language. She said Gauff won, not because she played incredible, just because I made all of those mistakes, and that her shots were kind of magical. She literally removed Gauff's agency from her own victory.
That language carries troubling implications, especially when directed at a young Black woman. The suggestion that success is magical rather than earned, that victories are gifts rather than achievements, these dog whistles don't go unnoticed. The tennis community recognized the subtext immediately.
Contrast in media coverage was telling. Every major outlet covered the story, but the narrative was universally pro-Gauff. ABC, ESPN, Newsweek, People magazine, all focused on Gauff's gracious response and Sabalenka's poor sportsmanship. The framing was devastating for Sabalenka.
When mainstream media unanimously takes one side in a sports controversy, it indicates deeper cultural currents. Gauff represents values that resonate across American society: hard work, grace under pressure, social consciousness. Attacking those values guaranteed negative coverage.
Generational factor also worked against Sabalenka. At 27, she's attacking someone 6 years younger who's already accomplished more at Grand Slam level. It looked like an established player trying to diminish a rising star rather than accepting changing of the guard.
Tennis fans love breakthrough stories and generational transitions. When an older player attacks a younger champion's legitimacy, it looks like resistance to progress rather than competitive spirit. Gauff represents the future of tennis, and fans want to see that future respected, not dismissed.
Business implications made this worse for Sabalenka. Gauff is one of the sport's biggest marketing draws, with endorsements from New Balance, Head, Rolex, and others. She brings mainstream attention and corporate investment to tennis. Attacking that is bad for the sport economically.
Major sponsors don't want to be associated with controversy or unsportsmanlike behavior. When you attack someone who represents marketability and positive values, you're potentially damaging the sport's commercial prospects. The tennis establishment has every incentive to protect assets like Gauff.
International dimension amplified the backlash. American fans saw this as a foreign player disrespecting their champion. International fans saw it as poor sportsmanship toward a beloved figure. Sabalenka managed to unite different audiences against her.
When you create a controversy that transcends tennis into mainstream culture, you've lost control of the narrative. Gauff's response was covered by general news outlets, morning shows, and social media influencers. This became about character and values, not just tennis results.
The fact that Sabalenka had to publicly apologize shows how completely she misjudged this situation. You don't apologize unless you recognize you've lost the public completely. Gauff's combination of achievement, character, and cultural significance made her untouchable in this controversy.
Dr. Mitchell Marcus, thank you for this analysis. What we've seen is why that Reddit user was absolutely right. Sabalenka picked the worst possible person to have this controversy with. Coco Gauff represents everything that makes someone impossible to attack successfully. Inspiring backstory, historic achievement, gracious character, cultural significance, and broad-based public support. This episode was brought to you by Unstruct AI, where we explore why some sports controversies explode into cultural moments. Today, we've examined how Sabalenka inadvertently created the perfect public relations disaster by targeting someone untouchable. From Gauff's connection to the Williams sisters to her role as Team USA flag bearer. From her social activism to her business success. From her gracious response to her historic achievement, every single aspect of who Coco Gauff is made Sabalenka's attack backfire spectacularly. When you dismiss a young Black woman's Grand Slam victory as magical rather than earned. When you attack someone who represents the best values of sport and society, when you diminish achievement that broke historic droughts, you're not just being unsportsmanlike, you're being culturally tone-deaf. The tennis world rallied around Gauff not just because she's a champion, but because she represents championship values. Meanwhile, Sabalenka revealed values that don't align with what people want from their sports heroes. Sometimes the most revealing moments aren't about what you achieve, but how you respond when others achieve. In attacking Coco Gauff, Sabalenka didn't just lose a narrative battle, she revealed character deficiencies that no amount of tennis success can overcome. Thanks for watching. Remember, subscribe for analysis that examines why some controversies become cultural flashpoints, while others fade away. In the age of social media and global connectivity, reputation is everything, and some targets are simply too beloved to attack successfully.